Nitro is the glory, but E-Buggy pays the bills. Welcome to the No Name RC podcast. Get ready for some serious bench racing. But be warned, we speak our minds, express our thoughts, and sometimes things can get a little rowdy.
Hate, and he just was influenced by the hate coming from the left, the hate coming from the right.
And let's get back to more club racing and less of this racing.
It's hard not to be arrogant when you're always right. Yeah.
See what I mean? That's exactly why people call you arrogant, Max.
You may not agree with everything we say, but it's definitely worth a listen.
And our pick, can you stop whatever you're doing?
Join your host, Lefty the Great, with co-hosts and guests as they get together to chat RC.
Hey, after that race that I watched this morning, I have to talk about it.
There we go. $100 right here, $100 throw. Oh no!
I like this.
Yes, indeed. Nitro's the glory, but E-Buggy pays the bills. What's going on, everybody? Welcome to another standalone interview with this time the three-time European champion Reno Savoya. But before we do that, let me say a little bit of thanks to all of you out there. A big shout out to the NNRC squad who have been supporting the podcast for all these years. We greatly appreciate it. We are at this point either at 8,000 subs or almost at 8,000 subs. If you haven't already subbed, like hit the notification buttons on this channel, please do it. And please share as well. A big shout out to all the supporters around the world that listen to the podcast and make this happen. Also, if you're a YouTube member or a patron, thank you for all the support. We greatly appreciate it. You go the extra mile. If you like what we're doing here on the podcast and want to support it a little bit more, you can become a patron or a YouTube member, get early perks like patron and YouTube member only lives, as well as early access to podcasts. You're probably getting this as an early access perk if you're a patron or YouTube member. Also, a big thank you to all the companies that make this possible. If you're a company, you like what we're doing, you want to come on board and advertise with us in 2026, hit us up. We have tiers for everybody. They are J Concepts, High Tech RC, Sidewinder Fuels, Latera Racing, Invisible Speed, ML Toys, Dollar Hobbies, Side Piece Racing, Get Shit Done Coffee, Elite RC Productions, RC Project, Mayako, Techno RC, Beach RC, Racecraft USA, and Clinic RC. And a big shout out to Fly Sky for all their support, sending us over some product. We're going to be doing some reviews on that. If you guys wish to support the sponsors, you can. We have links for them as well as the YouTube membership and Patreon in the written description of this podcast. We have some coupon codes, some affiliate links, or just some links in there. Just let them know you heard about it on the No Name RC podcast. Also, a big shout out to our drivers, David Runnefolk, Robert Battier, Alexander Hagberg, Matty G, Pecco Evening, Una Hotnan, Mason Fuller, and newly crowned NNRC driver, and he probably doesn't know about this yet, Davey Bada. All right, guys, so the MP11 has come out. Lots of people are getting it in hands. It looked very good at Wicked Weekend. There's been a lot of hype around the new Kyosho MP11. I decided to get Reno Savoya, the three-time European champion, on board on the podcast to talk about it. I did interview Reno many years ago on our audio-only platform. If you want to know Reno's story, I'll leave a link for that in the written description. Remember, it is audio-only. But it was a great catch-up with Reno. He's been hard at work. He's also been helping behind the scenes, getting the Kyosho MP11 up and going. They seem to have a lot more hype going on around them now. Kyosho has pretty much rejuvenated their racing team. There's even some rumors of some 10-scale stuff coming out, as we just saw at the recent 10-scale Worlds. So sit back, enjoy this conversation with one of the best to ever do it in 8-scale. And if you're running a Kyosho MP11 and like it, if you're thinking about getting one, tell me why in the comments. We greatly appreciate that. Thank you, Reno, for your time, and I hope you guys enjoy this podcast. Joining me in the virtual studio today is a man who needs no introduction. He is a 3-time European champion. He has lived in Australia, lived in America. He is, I would say, now in the twilight of his career, but also still a presence in the RC scene over there in Europe, over there in RC in France. Welcome back, Reno Savoya, the Shark.
Yep.
To the
Thank you.
NNRC.
Thank you, Lefty. Always a pleasure to be there.
I think I interviewed you many years ago. It was audio only. I think you had just kind of split up with HB. I can't remember what happened. We was talking about, you might have just joined Kyosho. I can't, what happened
Yeah, I
after?
think it was probably at the beginning of the Kyosho adventure. Yeah, it doesn't seems like that far away to me. But yeah.
Okay. But it was quite some time ago. I think it was about 4 years ago that I did have you on here.
Yeah, I joined Kyosho back in 2020. So that might be at that time, like 5 years ago.
Yeah. Wow.
Yep.
You've been at Kyosho that long?
Yeah, it's like
Impressive.
during the COVID situation. So yeah, not maybe seems far away already, but it's not that far.
No, not at all. Not at all. But in that time, you have definitely been the face of Kyosho there in Europe for quite some time.
Mhm.
And now with the Kyosho MP11 being released, there's a lot of hype around it. I know you was kind of heavily involved in it, so I kind of wanted to have you on here to talk a little bit about it. I did see you at the E-Buggy World Tour recently.
Yep.
It's always good to see you out there. You and JQ were having a competition that you actually won. Quad, that was fun. Good to see you and JQ having fun, because you guys have had a very tumultuous friendship over the years. But I think you guys
exactly. That's the least you can say. Yeah.
But good to see you. Maybe tell people. Oh, I did want to get one thing clarified. So I always thought you got your nickname the Shark from going cage diving with great white sharks when you was living in Australia. But another French guy said you actually got it from the French over there.
It was a long time before that, because when I was driving with the chrono car from Italy, I think it was back in 2003, something like that. So I was no more than 13 years old. And then the guy that was painting my bodies at that time, he came up with that shark on the body. I already loved shark quite a lot. I was fascinated by them. And then he came out with that idea. I think it was from the original design is from the helmet of MotoGP guy. I think it's Nakano, I guess. It was on the back of his helmet. And then he made it on the body. I said, I love it. And then I kept that every single time since then. And I went cage diving in 2009. So it was 6 years later.
For those who want to learn more about the history of Reno Savoya, I'll put the link for that podcast in here, because you've had a rich history. Like I said, you've been a 3-time European champion. You've made many world championships as well. You lived in America for some time when RC America, when X-Ray came out in RC America. I think you lived in Texas for some time.
Yes, exactly. Yep.
Yeah, but over the last few years, it was kind of up and down with you, and then obviously you found a home here at Kyosho. And I would say I give you, look, I've been one of the biggest Kyosho haters. Not that I hate the company, but obviously I was a Mugen guy. And actually I think you won world European championships under Mugen as well.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I was always a Mugen guy, and it came back to the day when it was just Mugen, Kyosho, maybe a Thunder Tiger, in the 8-scale market. It was probably a couple other cars, but those were the 3 main cars. But Kyosho kind of went through a very up and down stage in their racing side of things. Mm-hmm. We were wondering if they were going to stay in racing, if they were going to go. Obviously, Kyosho is very successful with things like the Mini Z and all the ready-to-run stuff that they have. I think people don't understand how much ready-to-run stuff Kyosho actually makes. Bashing type vehicles, it's quite a lot. And Mini Z is incredibly popular. It is shocked. I am shocked there's no official IFMAR World Championships for it, because there is no
IFMAR, but they have World Championships. Yes.
Because I think they had one in France last year.
Yes.
And
I think it was France last year and maybe 5 years ago, I think close to my place. A friend of mine organized that back in the days.
Mhm.
So yeah, it's really, really popular.
yes, but over the last few years, I think you've been part of Kyosho for quite some time. 5 years. Then you hired Ryan Lutz. I think it was 2 years ago, maybe 3 years ago now.
I think he
Uh,
came same time as me or 2021. So yeah, about 4 years
No,
ago.
it was
5 years
later
ago.
than that. It was later than that because he went to Nemo for like 2 years.
Yeah.
Then he went to
Yeah.
WRC. Then he almost went out of RC. And
Yeah, I
then,
think the year I joined Kyosho, he was with WRC, and then he switched to Kyosho the year after. Yeah.
absolutely. But a great representative there in America. Obviously, Ryan Lutz is very well liked. And I have been going to a lot of races in the USA and started to see the resurgence of the Kyosho brand there in America. I remember I went from you wouldn't even see any Kyosho tents or banners.
Yes.
Now you start to see that. Obviously, in France, Kyosho had a long history because that's where Kyosho Europe is based.
Mhm.
So it's been very popular there. I think people don't understand outside of Europe how big the RC market there is in France. I mean, you guys have a huge market there. I look at some of the like YouTube channels and website
Yep.
stuff you guys have, and they're big, right? All French speaking,
Yes,
and
they
they're
are.
huge.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm not complaining. We also have our shop right now, RSRC, and
Mhm.
we are doing pretty good. Even if we export like 30% of our turnover right now, the other
Mhm.
70% is in France for sure. So it's a quite big market. Yep.
Which is great because it's always good to see legends like yourself able to continue on in the industry, right? Yes, you still race, and maybe the time, and I shouldn't even say maybe the time of you having good results is over because you have still made A finals.
Yeah, I made 6 at the Euros last year. So
Mhm.
I think it's tough right now because when you're a racer, it's always tough to find the proper timing. Say, okay, I'm gonna quit and stop racing. Everybody says to me, "Oh, you gotta go plus 40 in a couple of years," because I'm 38 right now. And they say, "Oh, you gotta go plus 40." And I said, when you are like at that level, fighting the top world positions and Euros, you don't really want to go in another dog class. So I I want to still go racing. I still want to be competitive. But when you are a dad, you have a company, you have everything to run at the same time. I know some guys that are like at the track 3 days a week right now. And when you have to deal with everything at the same time, it's kind of tough. So I know that car, the MP11, will suit my driving style a lot better. So I know I can do well. And I want to get ready for the big events next year, like the Euros, like maybe Silver State, and the Worlds. So I want to do good and I want to get ready for that. So I'm sure I still have what it takes to go with the fastest guys in the worlds. But I know that with everything I had around is not my golden era for sure.
I would also say not your priority, right? You have a family and you have the business, and that's where
Exactly.
your focus is.
I think also today when I show up at a race, compared to the other guys that maybe I'm talking about France, but it might be the same for other countries. Like there's so much tension when they go on the driver's stand, when when you feel the tension in the pits, like they're really fighting for it. And I'm not saying I'm not in that position when I'm not like when I'm on the driver's stand, but when you have a family, you have a company, you have many different things in your mind that are still running, and the racing is important. But when you go down the driver's stand, okay, the race is done, and you have something else to focus on. So
I would agree with that. And right now, there's quite a lot of young French drivers coming up through the ranks. I mean, uh, I think the most improved for me, not improved because he's always been good, but he was mostly a 10 skill guy, was Clement Boda.
Mhm. Yep.
He is doing very well. Of course, we have Noah Ben Mohammed who's doing well.
Mhm.
There's some other French names that people probably don't know, but I know those two are some of the most popular. Jordan Lott, Taveron is from France,
Cameron
too, right?
is
They
from
just
France too.
won
Yep.
the Europees.
Mhm.
He just went where you was at commentate. That was a very exciting race too.
I tried to
there
do
in
my
Lusaka,
best.
the Euro Bs. But yeah, I get it. So, and I'm glad that your business is doing well because that's always good. And I remember always talking to a guy.
Yeah.
He goes, Lefty, you know that the European market's bigger than the American market. It's like, really? And he goes, yes. And he kept telling me that. And I don't know if that's true or not, but it might be.
Honestly, back in the days when I was with TLR, I knew the numbers and I told them, okay, you know what you're doing in the US? Just let me work a little bit more in Europe, and it's going to be tough to do 1 more million in the US, but it's going to be easy to do 1 more million in Europe. So,
But they didn't listen because they're non-existent in Europe, right?
Not at all.
Not at all.
Yep.
It's good to see you still doing it, still going to these races and participating. It's always good to see you at the races as well. You have two very fast racers over there in Ricky Barton and Barufalo. Maybe Barufalo kind of he's still fast. Barufalo's on and off. He's either there or he's not. And
Exactly. With Marco is super talented, but it's all or nothing. I think Ricky is more consistent in his performance. But you know, I know that I have a lot to not teach them, but improve and then, you know, maybe give them a little bit more knowledge from what I went through all my career. And you know, I know I can race with them because it happened many times this year, but I know I can make them faster and more consistent, having better results. So I think in the next few years, that's the position I want to take with Kyosho. It's like, okay, I'm still there. I'm still driving. I'm still having fun, which is the most important. But I want you guys to go better because I know they are really capable of, and that's going to be my goal in the next few years.
Yeah, let's not forget that Ricky Berton won the 2019 European Championships of Kyosho as well. And a very exciting race there at the Ongaro Ring with mud and everything else. All right. And of course, you have what everybody's dubbing the future of RC, Little Bump Phi Long Win, who's not so little anymore. He's growing up.
Exactly.
He's over there. Dude, him and Ryan Lutz's cars look the best at Wicked Weekend. Their MP11s. I couldn't, I mean, I was watching them and I'm like, no cars were handling like their cars were. It was amazing how good their cars were. So that got me excited. But yes, let's move on to that because thank you to High Tech RC for all that continued support and winning a European Championship with David Ronnefolk here recently at the 2025 European Championships in Barcelos, Portugal. If you're looking for top tier performance and reliability for your RC setup, High Tech RCD has you covered with industry leading chargers and servos for both surface and air applications. Whether you're bashing, racing, or taking to the skies, High Tech's advanced technology delivers precision, power, and durability when you need it most. From high torque servos to smart, efficient charging solutions, trust High Tech to keep you in control. High Tech, powering passion, elevating performance. Visit www.hightechrcd.com and let them know that you heard about it on the No Name RC podcast. Kyosho kind of wasn't oblivion race-wise. The MP10 came out. And then, of course, we have the MP11, a much hyped up release about it. We saw the beginnings. I liked how you guys did it at the Kyosho Masters, where you presented it, and that drove people nuts, right? And I was like, okay, I couldn't really. I can look at a car and be like, okay, it looks like it looks like a car. I don't know what the difference is till I see somebody go drive it, and then I saw it driven at Wicked Weekend, and I was like, okay, this car is really good. And then obviously there's a lot of talk about how much you was involved. I messaged you. I asked you about it. You said it was a collective group of people that worked with this car, which was something different from what Kyosho has done in the past, because Yuichi Kanai was kind of the head designer and he kind of just pretty much did everything. So I guess talk us through the MP11, how it started, how much you was involved in it, and what was the end goals for it in the end.
Yeah, it started, I think, at the Kyosho Masters last year, pretty much. So it's April, May 2024. At that time, we didn't have Marco, we didn't have Ricky in the loop. There was only Ryan and I and Fee as drivers. We were getting ready for the Worlds, but we already knew that our MP10 platform was okay, but not at the level we wanted it to be to fight for the World's title. We knew Fee and Ryan had maybe the speed to get into the main, maybe myself also if I was on a good day. But we knew our car was super easy to drive, which is the DNA of Kyosho. It's one of the main reason we want and the main goal we want to achieve. Like you build a car, you go on the track, you're having fun, and the car is fast, but also super easy. So you don't really have to mess up with the setups because maybe in the US the guys are more focused and they know that they're driving a race car. But back home sometimes they're a little bit too lazy, or they're not precise enough to work on the setup. So we want the car to be super easy to drive first, and then if it's fast, it's one of the things that is important. But the guys that want to have fun, they are not really looking for a car that is easy to drive at the beginning. So it started, like that, pretty much May 2024, and we were saying, okay, we tried to put on a blank sheet of paper what we're gonna need to be world champion 2026. So we would need a new car and fast drivers. So we are still recruiting good drivers that are able to win a world championship. And I think also Kyosho Japan put some budget behind that because building a new car, starting from a blank sheet, is quite a big amount of money. I think there are not so many companies in the industry right now able to say, okay, we're going to start from a blank sheet and then do a car that is able to win the world championships. And so the main goal was to say, okay, look at what is going on around us. Mostly the track, if we want to fight for the worlds, they are high speed, high grip. We knew it was kind of a drawback for us with the MP10. So that's the direction we wanted to go. And that's where it started. We also took in mind what the customers were needing. They were saying that, for example, the lower A arms in the front were a little bit brittle. So, okay, we're going to check on that. Also, some other small issues on the car. And then all of a sudden, we had a way to go for a new car. So we had the first drawing in January, and it went back and forward with Ryan and John Angrian and the guys from Kyosho Europe and the guys from Kyosho Japan. So since January 2025, we had the first drawings, and we were saying, okay, this is good, this is not, and then we had email exchange with everybody in the loop, and the car came out from the first mold for the Kyosho Masters in June. So it was super, super exciting.
Awesome. So was there, I guess, I bring this up, and I don't know how much you can talk about it, but for all these years, Kanai has been kind of what he says happens, right? Because he's the head designer. And for those who out there, Kanai doesn't directly work for Kyosho. He works for a design company that designs for Kyosho. That's the best way I can explain it. So was it a collective decision from Kyosho Japan, Kyosho Europe, I would just say Kyosho America, to say, hey, let's work together. Let's do something different here. Because we kind of, we can't. I always said this, Kyosho has legacy, obviously, 8-time world champion, plethora of wins, all this type of stuff. But something was lacking there with the car, and things had to change. So was it just like a decision, hey, we're going to work collectively as a group between these 3 continents, we have these people, we have you, we have Ryan Lutz, we have all these different ideas. Let's work together to make the best car we can.
I think it might be like a Japanese way of working. Like back in the days when I worked with Mugen, it was the same thing. Like it took a lot of time for them to trust, I think. So for me, when I came up and I joined Kyosho, I already had ideas of, okay, we should do this, we should do that on the car. And we had a really good relationship with Kanai. And I was really surprised because there was some improvement I could do on the car, and he was listening. and we were moving forward. It seems like in the history of Kyosho, there were not that many drivers that had so much input of what's going on and what will be the next evolutions. So that was super good for me. I think because also I have the experience, the knowledge to say, okay, this is better, this is not. And objectively, maybe not saying I want it or I want that, but this is better or this is doing that and this is doing that. And this is what we want for the car. This is what we want for the customers, not especially what I want for myself. I think back in the days, Kyosho had maybe that issue that they have a really strong team of drivers, maybe a little bit too many. And when they started to develop a new car, everybody has a way of thinking, a way of doing it. And sometimes it's not bad, but a little bit of a selfish way of doing it. It's like, okay, let's say I want the car to be red. So because I like red more. And that guy is going to say, I want it because, okay, this is this, but I just want it because it's red, you know? So I think it took also some time for them to understand that the input, the drivers that we have now, Ryan, Ricky, Fee, me, are obvious in how to say that, but objective, you know. So if we said, okay, this might not work for the US market, but this can be amazing for the European market. So okay, which direction should we go? And I think we have really talented and smart people in the team right now, so we can work as a group. Might not be the case before, that we had maybe some strong minds and a little bit too selfish, or they just wanted the best results, but it was not feeding the customers and what, you know, most people want from the brand. So I think it really went that way, and it was pretty natural, actually.
Awesome. I guess, so what were the end goals? Because there is a difference, right? There's a European market, there's a USA market. What were some of the goals and some of the things that you wanted from the car to come out of the box specifically?
A big shout out to SidePieceRacing.com, North America's exclusive distributor for top tier brands like Awesomatics, Rocher, Wild Turbofan, Montec Racing, Corsatec, Phoenix Racing, and Wheel Speed. Whether you're seeking precision engineered car kits, high performance batteries, or aerodynamic bodies, we've got you covered. Enjoy fast shipping and exceptional customer service, ensuring you get the best gear when you need it. Visit SidePieceRacing.com today and race ahead of the competition. Let them know you heard about it from Lefty on the No Name RC podcast. Also, a big shout out to our Swedish hobby shop friends over there in Sweden. Step up your RC racing with Latera Racing, one of Sweden's premier hobby shops and tracks dedicated to racers, featuring top brands like Hobby Wing, X-Ray, Zoo Racing, and Team Coyote. They provide everything you need from precision chassis to high-performance electronics. Whether you're at the track or upgrading your setup, Latera Racing caters to racers to demand the best. Visit latera.se or stop by our shop and check for the ultimate RC experience. Latera Racing, built for winners.
I think the main thing with the Kyosho car is you build it out of the box, you go on the track, you're having fun, and the car is easy to drive. Then you can start going over the limit and then work on setup and improve yourself. That was the main idea. But we also wanted the car to be faster. The basic design of the MP10 was an evolution of the MP9, and the MP9 came out in 2009, I would say, 2010 maybe. So the design was 15 years old. And with the MP11, we wanted a car to be from 2025. We've seen what the tracks have evolved to. We have many tracks in Europe that are high speed, oiled or glued, and we want the car to be popular, easy to drive, and also fast in those conditions. And we know in the US, most of the big events are kind of loamy, bumpy. We knew the MP10 was really good in those conditions, but the window wasn't wide enough to be also easy to drive in the high speed, high grip tracks. So if it was kind of finding the proper balance between having a car that is easy to drive in every single combination, but also having a car that is feeling lighter and having more traction, more forward traction, because that was the main drawback of the MP10, in my opinion, that the car was super easy to drive. If you're alone at the track, you feel awesome. But sometimes you were losing power because it went through something that was not there, and it was not on the ground. It was not on the tires. And we totally don't have that anymore with the MP11.
Okay. Was it difficult to design a car that both continents could use, both types of tracks? Like you said, you have the high speed glued tracks there in Europe, and you have the more loamy, bumpy, supercross style tracks there in America. What are some of the things you guys had to change to make it work?
I think
both sides.
I'm not into the design
Mm.
part, so I really left them doing their job, if we have engineers and designers, but we all had ideas of what the cars that are fast in those conditions have. With the knowledge we have now, we know that, okay, we should go in this direction. And it was not possible with the MP10 because the geometry was away, and we have a way wider window now with the MP11. So it was their job to make it possible. But I think also it's sometimes you have to take the best of both worlds, which is super hard. Like you have to make the arms last for Indonesia, that is 40 Celsius, 90% humidity, and winter in Sweden, that is 0 or 2 degrees, and you're still racing. So on the materials, it's tough because sometimes people don't really understand. Like, okay, shit, I'm breaking arms, but those guys that are running in Indonesia, it's 40 degrees Celsius and it's 90% humidity. The wheel is underneath the chassis because the plastic is so soft that it's flexing way too much. So it's really tough to make the car that is first reliable, but also good for every combination and every situation in the world. So we knew that with Ryan, for example, we were not agreeing on some parts, like the KPI angle in the front steering. He was saying like, okay, maybe on tight tracks, this is not the best way of doing it, and we should improve this or that to make it work. So we knew that, okay, we were going in one direction, and we were fixing stuff at the same time to make sure that the car has a really wide tuning window to make it work in every single situation.
Awesome. So, but it took over a year. How long did it take from drawings to you guys getting a prototype car?
Not much, actually.
Wow.
Yes, honestly, like I said, I work with the Japanese for more than 10 years now with Kyosho and Mugen before. I know that it was maybe a different times, but back in the days when I said, okay, we want to try a different gear ratio in the gearbox. Maybe 10 years ago, they told me it would take 6 months to do it. Just a bevel and a crown gear, different meshing, different machining. They said maybe it's going to take 6 months to do that. We did the full car in like 18 months, I would say, from zero to the box to the customers, which is an amazing work because, you have so many people involved, like Kyosho, Automodel, the guy from Automodel designing. Okay, it's going to go back and forward. Okay, this and that and this, that. And I know also now that we're working on the electric version because we have many customers that are asking for the electric versions. Everything, as many guys as you have in the loop, the more time it takes. But it was already super fast in my opinion, because when I was with TLR back in the days, it didn't go that quick, and we had some issues when the car was released with the differentials and those kind of things. That when you design a car starting from zero, so much work, so many details that you can mess up, and I think Kyosho did an amazing job. Like the car was done in an incredible amount of time, like small, reduced, super quick, really efficient work also because, we also, you have the shipping, you have all the documents to do. So the setup sheet is not available right now as we speak, but the car is there. The customers are having fun with it. And honestly, when you start from scratch with the blank sheet, the car doesn't have that many defaults. So I'm super, super happy about that. Last weekend, we had the guys that run their first race or their first practice with the car, and it's reliable. They're having fun. They can already start with the box setup, and the car fits their driving style and pretty much everywhere in the world. So I think we did an amazing job, all of us, and I'm super proud of it.
Oh, that's awesome. What do you think? Because when you was with Mugen was many years ago, there was no 3D printing, there was nothing like that going on.
Exactly.
What do you think was one of the big factors in being able to speed up the process of this? Did you guys do 3D printing? Did you use that at any time? I know that helps to mock up things. I see you said everybody worked as a group, but maybe you can tell us how things have sped up from back when you was working with Mugen. How it happened.
I think also I think 3D design also is helping stuff, because I think now with the proper designing software, you can already apply force on the arms, so you know where the arms is going to break, you know how much force you're going to put on a arm before it breaks, so you can calculate how much torque you can put on it before it breaks, so you can add material at some different spots. So I think the computer really helped also in that direction. I know back in the days, the cars were designed by Yuichi by hand. So you didn't have those features that we can have now. 3D printing pieces also helped. As soon as we had the design on the computer, they made some 3D samples to make sure the adjustments were right. Now that we have bulkheads that you can adjust the differential heights in it, I think it was really good also to have the 3D printers to make sure that as soon as you make a mold, which is costing a lot of money for those kind of parts, you're sure that the adjustment is going to be okay, because as soon as you change the height of the differential, you have to adjust the height of the bevel also and make sure that everything is working together, that the mesh is always right. If not, you're going to break crown and bevel. So I think this sped up the process for sure, and it made it also more reliable as soon as you make the mold, and you don't have that many adjustments to make as soon as the mold is done. So it's saving time, but also a lot of money, I guess.
Yeah, 3D printing is big, right? So in my hobby, which is the toy action figure world, there's a lot of 3D printing in that. And then on my other podcast, which is Power Wheels, which is like electric vehicles for kids.
Yep.
There's a lot of 3D printing going on, and in fact, the guy who got me into it, he's an RC racer, and he is making his own Power Wheels, and he had a complete 3D printed mock-up of one of those. I mean, it wasn't working, but it was a complete 3D mock-up, and he says it saves so much more time than we would have had to do it with wood and clay and all that type of stuff. So
sure,
that's good stuff. I guess my next question would be
Techno RC. Techno RC is a championship-winning manufacturer of high-performance 8-scale, 10-scale, Nitro, and electric RC buggies and trucks. With a worldwide dealer network, USA and Europe-based headquarters, comprehensive warranty program, and global race support, Techno RC is excellence in RC. View the full lineup of Techno RC race-proven vehicles by visiting www.technorc.com.
I kind of touched on it a little bit, but how did Kyosho? I think it was also a change in attitude in Kyosho, right? And what I mean by that is, like I said, for the longest while, you guys were the best, right? And then there's a lot more cars on the market now, race-wise. There's a lot more cars on the market, a lot more competition, and there was I think you guys, there was the sale and the purchase of Kyosho. It was a lot going on. But I think a lot of things have changed. I think you guys moving in America, moving from California to Texas was a big thing too, because it saves a lot of money. It's a lot cheaper there in Texas. But it was I think it was an attitude shift altogether. And I think Mugen's going to have to do this at some point too, because they kind of rely on a legacy. Okay, they have the Killick brothers, they have Adam Drake, and they have Frankie Contreras. But that's not enough, in my opinion. At some point, I think Mugen's going to need somebody in
I think
America that does.
it's different. It's different companies. Like right now, Mugen is doing only racing stuff. So
Mhm.
so for sure, like if you have a COVID situation, like back in 2020, if you have
Mhm.
only the racing industry, I think you can't really survive.
Mhm.
So Kyosho has also the legacy of the racing, but they are distributing many products in Japan. Also, they are doing the mini Z. They are doing so many things that the racing side of the company is just the diamond part of the industry, their business and the group. So it's like, okay, to sell ready to run stuff. Sometimes you need to be world champ. You need to have those accolades. So that's why we need the racing also to be there.
Mhm.
But Kyosho is not only what we see on the racing right now, and that's, I think, the most important.
Yeah, I think that's the big thing, right? Mugen doesn't have that. They just do racing, right? So probably why they can't do what you did. But it's like, it's good, right? Because at some point we thought you guys were I thought you was gonna go away from the racing side of things. You've rebranded. I know the Kyosho loyalists out there, Sean Runcie, he's one of them. He's probably going to geek out on this. It's good to see the people excited about the new car. It looks good. I know people were kind of a little bit upset not seeing an MP11 at the E-Buggy Worlds, but that takes time as well. And you need
Yeah,
a
like
full
I
run.
said, it's only like it's only a small company for the amount of products they're making, and
Mhm.
it's like you have to take opportunities that when they show up, and also you have to focus on the main thing right now. Like people were like complaining about the setup sheets that are not available. Yes, but would you better have the manual and the setup sheet, but still wait another week, so another couple of days for the car, or have the car and then wait another couple of days or 3 days for the setup sheet, because every single person is fully involved in what's going on right now. So also for me, we're going to go to Bergland this weekend. I'm going to
Mhm.
race with the MP11 Nitro and still the MP10 electric car. So it's really frustrating right now. Also, knowing that I know how the car will look like, we worked on the design. They're gonna sample the parts right now, so it's even harder. But as a pro driver, I've been involved in developing cars for like more than 10 years now, so you already know what's going on in the future. The
Mhm.
MP11, I saw the design in January. I'm not saying it's an excuse for sucking up at the B Euros, at the Euros in Barcelos or at the Electric Worlds, but sometimes you have to drop your brain somewhere and say, okay, I've seen what the future's like, and I still have to go with the car that I know is good, but
Mhm.
we have something in the loop. So yeah,
Do you have a estimated time and you think you'll have a E-Buggy? Because E-Buggy is huge, dude. E-Buggy is a big
yep,
class.
yeah. Honestly, I think that's maybe also a market analysis. I'm not saying they're doing it wrong, but
Mhm.
you were talking about Mugen. They went releasing a two-wheel drive.
Mhm.
They will release a four-wheel drive after the Worlds, that from what I've heard. But I think if you look at the market right now in Europe, 10 scale is popular in winter, but not as big as 8 scale electric, not as big as Nitro 8 scale. So, I think it's some companies are making, okay, they're spending this amount of money on different classes. And then, okay, Kyosho made the decision to kind of invest in the 8 scale platforms and not that much in the 10 scale platforms. It's a choice they made. Sometimes it might work, it might not work, but sometimes you have to move on and take a decision and then take some risky ones sometimes if you want to go, full send. But
Yeah, but Kyosho kind of got out of the 10 scale market. We're going to talk about that because I heard there were some prototypes at the warm up. Kyosho got out of the 10 scale market quite some time ago, competitively. I think Jared
back in
Tito
the
was the last
80s.
person. Hmm?
Yeah, back in the 80s also, back when Jared won the Worlds.
Yeah,
I think it was with
it's been
the
some
four-wheel
time.
drive. Yeah.
Yeah, it's been
Yeah.
some time since they have had
Because
competitive.
also their legacy back in the days was with 10 scale when they won with Joel Johnson and those guys back in the 80s. So they still had also world championship titles because at that time there were not so many brands also. When I started RC, you if you want a car that is built properly and you don't have to machine and mill everything in the garage and take 2 months to build a car, you just buy a Kyosho or a Mugen and it was one or the other. Right now, it's not the same way of doing things, and so many brands around. It's different, but for sure, the electric industry now is, I think, really important because it's maybe easier to build, to go to the track. Maybe you don't have to be like a full geek mechanical guy, and you can still have fun with an RC car. So I think it's really important to be there on that market. I think the E-Buggy Wheels was the first one, and for sure it was kind of a test, but it's not going to be the last one. I think for me it was a little bit less exciting. I don't know if it's because it's electric or because there were a little bit less drivers than at the Nitro Worlds, but it's like Formula E or Formula One. When you watch the race, I think it's more exciting when you have noise and nitro stuff. But it's only my way.
I would agree with you there. I assume you'll see MP11 Truggy, Nitro Truggy, and E-Truggy come out next year sometime, or in the next
Yeah.
NNRC?
I think everything is gonna be released after that. We went out of MP10 Nitro and electric truck maybe 6 months ago because we knew it would come up later on. The first one to be released was the Nitro, and then the electric, and then probably Nitro Truggy, and then electric truck. Yep.
Okay. Now I want to get back to 10 scale because I just recorded World's Preview podcast and
Are you looking to take your ride-on car to the next level? ML Toys makes it easy with plug-and-play modifications like motors, speed and brake controls, and more. ML Toys is the one-stop shop to make your ride-on car the coolest car in the neighborhood.
the gentleman there, Andrew, he's the team manager. He was at the warm-ups and he said there was Kyosho drivers there from Japan, I believe, with prototype 10 scale cars. So I guess, and I actually think now is a good time for a company like Kyosho to get into 10 scale because there are only 3 major brands right now. But that requires hiring a driver that can race it, and also in America hiring a driver that can do mod, and hiring a driver that can do stock. So is there any? I don't know if you can let it be known, but are we going to see Kyosho come back to 10 scale in the next couple years?
Honestly, like I said, you have to adjust to the market. It was already a big investment in time and money for working on the 8 scale projects. So we definitely gonna make the 8 scale projects go further because I think it's just the beginning of what we want to do. Before focusing on 10 scale, they released the RB 7.5. It was just a small update of the RB7 because we still have drivers that love the brand, but they want to drive Kyosho, but they still want a car that is not 10 years old, So I think something is in the pipes, and they're going to come out with evolution of a car, maybe not a new car, but evolution to make sure that because from what I drove in 10 scale when I joined Kyosho, it was not that far. Okay. And so I think on dirt, the car is super good. So the market is nice. The market is I think for me right now more for carpet and AstroTurf. The worlds will be really specific because you have so many races in Europe, but also in the US with carpet and Astro and super high grip tracks. Also EOS in Europe, but the world's gonna be on dirt. So it's super exciting because right now I think the proper 10 scale drivers are not really practicing on kind of in between surface. I'm sure it's not gonna be that slippery, but I think it's gonna be really interesting and good to see the races, how it goes, and which direction it's gonna take.
Absolutely. So I got a couple more questions and then we're going to wrap this up. You did say that you guys are going to be looking for more drivers. So Are we going to see some silly season moves at the end of the year by Kyosho?
I don't know. Let's see. I know that some guys from other companies came to us there because they were excited by the Kyosho brand for a long time. You know, those guys that are racing for quite some times, they know that the Kyosho car, the Kyosho company is doing amazing, and it's a really strong company. It's not a company that has money from another business, a side business, and they just want to get rid of the extra money, you know? So it's a company that is just making his money. It's money from the RC industry. I think it's really important. But also, I think I don't want to say it's thanks to me or because of me, but I think when we came out with that front end for the MP10 that I got 6 at the Euros, I said, okay, there's something going on at Kyosho right now. Then Ricky and Marco came. They're doing great. I think they're having a little bit of issues right now with like driving errors or preparation for Ricky with the battery that came out at the Euros. So it's those kind of things that we need to filter, and it's gonna go even bigger. But I think it's just the beginning, and we have many drivers that are coming to us to get a sponsorship to get into the loop. But from my point of view, sometimes we have young guys that can do really, really well. But I was talking about that in the live video I had last week. It's like the young guys right now. Okay, you can be the future star of RC. You can be world champ in a couple of years or this even 2026, because we had many surprises at the World. Sometimes like Tater won the 2-wheel drive Worlds, and he was not even a world champion from what I remember. So we have always really good surprises. But back in Europe, sometimes I feel, I don't know if it's like that in the US, but in Europe, some guys are a little bit too greedy. It's like you didn't win anything or a national race or international race level, and you're already asking for parts, travel, salary. And, it's kind of a bit too much right now. I don't know if it's because some other companies are giving away that amount of money, but it has to be also on par with the market and the industry.
I would agree with you there. I think we're seeing that in the USA as well to an extent. But at the same time, in the USA, we see the same guys winning, right? It's Mayfield, Fend, and throw in a Mason Fuller now and then. I mean, as we're recording this, Mayfield just mopped the floor with everybody there at the Peach State Classic. And there was no Fuller, there was no Fend there. And I think those are the only two that can beat him consistently. So, like, you got to beat these guys and go win consistently. Then you can start. And I think that's a misconception of a lot of younger racers coming up now. There are the exceptions when you have a driver like Little Bump, who does, in my opinion, is
I think if you take Little Bump, I think it's in everything. It's not just the kid is young, he's talented. The kid is young, he's talented, he's mentally prepared to fight at the best level in the world. His dad is wrenching on his car. He's never have any issue except when he forgot to pit correctly or those kind of things. But, he's really focused, and to have all those parameters right now, there are not that many guys that have everything.
No, I agree. And you have people with way less than that expecting the same thing.
Exactly. Or even more.
Yeah, or more. And I'm like, hey.
Like we had some guys that came out, like at the B Euros, they came and said, oh, I want this, I want that. And then they were like, it's even more than what I take myself. It's like,
yeah.
Okay.
I think people are a little bit disillusioned with how things actually work. But that's a great segue into my last topic here.
BeachRC.com, the racer's one-stop online hobby shop. Choose from all the popular brands and variety in stock with super fast shipping and great customer service. BeachRC.com still has the local hobby shop feel with all the benefits of the internet. BeachRC.com is the exclusive distributor for Ultimate Racing, S-Works, Pro Circuit Racing tires, Nitro Lux fuels, and Assault RC performance products. So fill up your cart and check out at BeachRC.com today.
because you've been around for quite some time. You've been doing this for a long time. You've seen our industry change and evolve over the years. What are your thoughts on how things are going in the industry, racing wise? And what are some of the things you'd like to see us improve on and do things better and work towards?
I don't know. What I hate about RC right now is we are still looking at our belly button, and we don't have a wide way of seeing things. It's like when you are at the race, you don't have public. You don't have that many guys that come around, watch the race, maybe rent a car. Those kind of things that will grow the business, will grow the industry. I think right now we have companies that, we have some drivers that we help. They might win races. They might be nice. They might do a little bit of promotion. And we have some other companies that came up, we're going to give you more. We're going to give you this and that. And then you come with our brand. I think it's the proper industry. In every other market, it's like that. It's the business of sponsorship. But I think those companies sometimes they should be more involved in. We need new faces. We can't stay between ourselves. I mean, back home, you look at the nationals right now. We are like 30 guys running the pro class and 70 or 80 running the over 40 class. We don't have kids. So that's what I do. I want to do myself also, in addition to being a dad, a CEO of my company and a driver. I want to have a track where, people can come practice with any class in the market, have fun, and then maybe they're going to go into racing. I think that's the main thing we are lacking right now in France. I think because the market moved on also. Before, in my area, you had like 3 hobby shops, and then it's a proper hobby shop. Right here in France right now, the market is only online. So if you want to go into the industry, or if you want to go playing RC, you need skills. You need to properly build a car, make sure it works, make sure it's right. And I think it's the main issue right now. It's like people want to buy a car, and I also do it myself. Like I build cars for customers. They just switch on the radio and go on the track. But
instantaneous.
Instantly. Yeah, it's you switch on and you go. I think
Sorry, go ahead. Finish. I'm sorry.
Yeah, part of the fun right now is also building your thing. It's like a Lego. You build it and then it looks nice, and then you go on the track. It's like, I think that's what we're missing right now.
You bring up some good points. I like the belly button thing. I get it. You were just looking at Don, and they're not looking out and abroad. And companies, all we're doing right now is, all these companies are doing at the moment is cater. Basically, you go to these races to advertise to people that are already racing, and then try to say, hey, you should come drive with me because I'm going to give you a 5% better deal, or I'm going to give you the support that you want. Because I always say, people, I want more support. What do you want to support? Do you want somebody to hold your hand while you drive? Or do you want somebody to tell you that you're not doing well here, do this better? And I get it. I get why these companies do that, because I'm not saying that the races aren't important, but I think when you focus only on that, it's hard to focus and put your brain to say, hey, we need to get more people involved. We need to figure out how to take this more to the public. I'll give you, and that's not just the manufacturers. I think it's in the federations as well. I'll give you a prime example. At the IFMAR E-Buggy Worlds, it was so quiet, right? People were sitting in the stands, and when you won or did good, there was a clap. And I'm like, are we watching tennis or watching golf? And I remember Stetson ripped this French kid, these 2 French kids who were sitting there on this, right there, as they came on the straightaway. Yep. They were just talking to each other, right? And he's like, stop talking. I'm like, dude, you guys are used to having, I'm like, this was so boring. If somebody came to watch the E-Buggy Worlds and just heard the cars going around and nobody's saying nothing, there's no announcing, you don't know who's where. It's a mentality that needs to change, and it has to change for everybody.
But I think it's honestly, I think it's proper with the electric stuff also. Like you
Really?
can make the car more fun, but when I organize my race twice a year,
Mhm.
when you are in an arena or somewhere that you have some public around, if
Mhm.
you put electric cars on the track, nobody's gonna come and watch. But if you
Oh, I
put
understand
nitro
that.
cars, because of the noise,
I
people
agree.
say, okay, there's motorsport here. So they come up and then they watch.
I agree. But having no announcing and not allowing people to
No,
cheer
this
it does
is
not
this is
help.
the different story for sure. Yes.
Yeah, I agree
Because in
with you
my
there.
opinion right now, if you watch a race on live RC or RC Racing TV, any media that is doing their um, announcing and recording properly, you watch a race and it's freaking amazing like you would watch Supercross or F1. You know, you have so many overtaking and then strategy and it's super exciting. Sometimes I show up to the race and I say, dude, we are playing toy cars. It's like when you're really far and looking for a really far thing is like those guys
No atmosphere.
are
There's no
playing
atmosphere.
toy cars. So I think it's what we need. I want to do that with my track and build an arena where you said, okay, we sell ready to run stuff.
Mhm.
You do a track, you can have fun, and then you play with your friends. Sometimes we can have some rentals, and then maybe one day out of, I don't know, 100 or 200 guys, one or two will go racing.
Yeah. I had this talk on a live last week where people were like, we need to go back to old school, loamy, bumpy tracks and and get away from these high grip tracks and all this stuff. And I said, you want to go back to that. But I said, that new person that's coming into RC, they want to put their cars on the track. And I said, what's the first thing people need? You want to be able to go around that track, take the jumps, have traction, not do donuts. And I said, that's why carpet racing's fun and popular amongst people. I said, you go to a track like Barcelos where there's instant grip, right? Too much grip, but your cars come off clean. And you can make it around the track. Okay, if you crash over the jump, that's fine. But if you can't even line up to do the jump properly, it's a deterrent. And I said, the problem is us old school racers like that because we know how to do that. But you're talking about somebody that doesn't know how to do that and they want to have instant gratification. So we need to think, okay, we may not agree with, I don't mind the high grip surfaces at all. I said, you may not like that as a racer yourself, but think about that new person that's coming. He's going to like it, right?
Yep.
And that's why I think that's why you see the 10 scale world, amongst other things. I always say that 10 scale carpet is the future to getting people into RC because it's grip, it's clean, you can make a different track all the time. You can
I think two-wheel drive is a super good driving school also.
Exactly. And I said, think about it in 8 scale. People who can get around a track are going to stay there. If you can't get around a track, if you can't even do a double, you're going to leave. You're gonna like, this sucks. I'm going somewhere
for
else.
sure. If you go up on the driver's stand and on the 5-minute runs, you run 5 times to your car, it's boring.
Exactly. But we have to think different as an industry, and it's difficult, right? But it is a shift going on. It's just taken a long time to do. Reno, I want to thank you for your time. I know you're uber busy. You're getting ready for Buggyland as we record this. This is probably coming out a couple of weeks after Buggyland. We shall see.
Yeah, like you were talking about that a minute ago, but I think Buggyland is the right example of what people need. I have so many of my friends now that are running and they race Buggyland. It's not high grip. It's proper dirt track. It's fun to drive, and it's not bumpy. It's proper dirt, and it's not getting any bumpy. It's pretty consistent through the weekend. So I think it's possible, and people are gonna have fun in those conditions for sure.
Yeah, Megalo builds beautiful tracks too.
Yes.
And Buggyland is nice. I didn't even know it was going on until you told me. So I'll be watching a little bit of that this weekend as well. Reno, good luck at Buggyland. Good luck with everything. And
it was a pleasure.
Thank you for your time. And I look forward to seeing you at some of these races next year.
Sure. I hope I'm gonna be in the US sometimes. And and if I'm not racing in the next few years, I'm still gonna be around for sure. I have some plans, so super exciting.
We need to get you Kyosho guys over to some race time events. You guys need to come.
Yep. Would be fun for sure.
Awesome, my friend. Have a good day and good luck this weekend.
Thank you. You too. Have a good one.
Bye-bye.
Shout out to Sidewinder Fuels. Morgan Fuel has been collaborating with the world's top drivers for over 40 years. This has enabled them to test their fuels in many of the world's most challenging situations and take development of competition fuel to its next level. The result is Sidewinder, the market's most powerful racing fuel. This fuel is track tested and proven by national world champions, including Ryan Cavallari, Ryan Mayfield, Greg Degani, Mark Pavidis, and their current top driver is Fee Long Win, aka a Lil Bump. These drivers appreciate that Sidewinder is blended perfectly for the high performance needs of competitive racing. Don't let victory slip through your fingers. Purchase Sidewinder today. Thank you, Reno Savoya, for your time. We greatly appreciate you coming on board and discussing how you had some influence on the MP11. We wish you all the luck and Kyosho as well in the future. We look forward to seeing what you guys can do at these future races with drivers like Ryan Lutz and Fee Long Win, and probably picking up some new drivers here in the future. It's really good to see Kyosho out there doing well. The MP11 looks very good, and I look forward to seeing it at some of these races that I'm going to here in the future, and maybe even trying one out at one time. So if you had a race and you want me to try your MP11, bring it on up, and I promise I won't break it. Well, I can't promise that I won't break it, but I'll try my best not to break it. But I definitely am interested in trying. Hope you guys enjoyed this chat with Reno as I did. Don't forget to hit that sub, like, and notification button. It greatly helps out the channel. Help us get to 10,000 subs and beyond. We greatly appreciate it. If you're listening on the audio only side of things, don't forget to leave us a review. Come on over to the YouTube side because a lot of our podcasts are now more video based. You can also listen to them, but there's some visual stuff that you would miss if you're not listening to it on audio only. Thank you all for the continued support. We can't do it without you guys. The No Name RC podcast squad around the world, or the NNRC squad around the world. Thank you. We guys greatly appreciate it. Also, a big shout out to the YouTube members and the NNRC patrons. You guys go the extra mile and make this all possible. Don't forget, if you wish to be a patron or YouTube member, we have links for that in the written description, as well as links for all these sponsors that support the podcast. Remember, showing the sponsors some love shows the podcast some love. They are J Concepts, High Tech RC, Sidewinder Fuels, Latera Racing, Invisible Speed, ML Toys, Dollar Hobbies, Side Piece Racing, Get Shit Done Coffee, Elite RC Productions, RC Project, Mayako, Techno RC, Beach RC, Racecraft USA, and Clinic RC. Thank you all. We greatly appreciate it. We have links for them in the written description of this podcast. And I hope you enjoyed this talk with Reno Savoya. And shout out to all the Kyosho loyal fans out there. You guys are back, and you know how much that hurts me to say that as a Mugen loyalist. Lefty out. Enjoy your MP11s, everybody. Talk to you in the next one.